want to open up again how I began this morning and speaking about the good. I always believe about speaking about our good in this. And I study human behavior, so just by my ta'aleem wa tadreeb, my training and education, by default I observe things. And each and every time I'm like a student, I'm like amongst y'all, and I'm listening to the Sheikh Wassam and our beloved Imam Anwar and our beloved brother Harun. I'm listening to them. And I'm listening to the broad scope that you get, that even at big conventions, which my counterpart or my co-pilot of this lecture, he heads, one of them. And you don't get this much diversity. You get a little intellectual, you get theology, you get the Quran, that aspect of it. And this is something that we should, take a moment to celebrate and appreciate this. And this is we should look at the MSA members, and not only them, those who support them from a distance, their parents. And look at the line of speakers that you have here. That what I'll bring together and talk about this coming together as a ummah, as I alluded to previously in my introduction, is that look at this panel. Look at this panel. Look at the different ethnicity. Look at the ages. This is amazing. This is something that you should appreciate this. And you should know that you've done a great job doing this. The organization, the structure. This is something that is essential to know. What I will say, it's something that I wasn't taught in a book. This is not something that Virginia Tech taught me. This is not something that VCU taught me. And this is not something, as we enter into our program at North Carolina State, that they will teach me. This is something that I have witnessed myself. And so I speak from a position of, because, when you're dealing with predominantly university students in here, sometimes we look at things from an intellectual point of view, and that's fine because that's the lens that you're currently looking out society as. But with me, what I would deliver to you is not going to be something it's not going to be something intellectual. It's going to be something that actually the lens of my life. And many people in my position, the lens of their life. I began earlier, that sign at the front of this podium, reviving the American Muslim or Muslim American, I don't know how it's interchanged, spirit or whatever. Because of the severe disunity in this ummah, it's very difficult for someone to become revived, to resuscitate something, to bring something back to life. And our Arab and Desi privilege is real. It's selective. It's problematic. It's a cancer. A brief psychoanalysis. Racism, prejudice is all signs of narcissism. It's a sign of somebody being a narcissist. And the root of somebody being a narcissist is they lack empathy. Do you understand this? This is Psychology 101 that I'm giving you very quickly. They lack empathy. Empathy is you have care for everything regardless. This is why Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam, we should say, at least in the beginning, say sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We should say sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and it's already been mentioned before. But our Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, this is what made him the greatest humanitarian. This is why the likes of Abu Jahl or the likes of Umayyah bin Khalaf, this is why even though they would get upset and they will froth at the mouth when they hear Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Sayyidina Bilal bin Rabah, radiallahu ta'ala anhu wa arda, he said, I noticed that they never really said anything bad about Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. They never really went as far as his character went. He was the greatest humanitarian, had empathy for everyone. And within that patience, we don't have empathy for everyone. When the heat wave happened in Karachi, last Ramadan, correct? My dates is correct? Last Ramadan, the heat wave happened. I had my phone in my hand getting ready to say something about the heat wave in Karachi. Most of my friends are Desi. Before I was even to compose a 140 character tweet, they said, Brother Hanif, so what's up? Aren't you going to mention something about Karachi? I said, give me a moment for me to, it has to be a message that, I want to make sure, let me do spell check and all of that. Let me make sure I spell Karachi with a CH and not a SH. You just give me a moment to. And I said, where were you at for Mike Brown? Where were you at for Sandra Bland? This is what I'm subconsciously thinking. Where was the hurry up and tweet for Bland and Brown and Ferguson? I don't get much slack from my brothers and sisters who I love very much, and I'm open about this and I'll continue to say it. In particular, Palestine, and then right below that is Syria. Because I always speak about them. I'm constantly speaking about Syria, of course, and Palestine. However, with that comes the idea of being able to cover all spectrums and being empathetic to all of these things. Empathetic is not selective. Being a humanitarian, an activist, these things aren't what I choose. Oh, that's not my problem. I don't live in a, low income, area. And this is why I mentioned to people before, our leadership before rather, when you go to these, not this convention, but when you go to these big Islamic conventions, where are the brothers and sisters from South Central of LA? Where are the brothers and sisters from the 3rd Ward in Houston? There's actually a masjid that sits in the 3rd Ward of Houston, one of the most dangerous neighborhoods in America. If I was asked some people from Texas, what is the name of that? I'm not from Texas. What is the name of that masjid? They said, oh, we don't know. South side of Chicago, Baltimore last year, ICNA or ISNA, I don't know which one, ICNA, they had, and I'm not being critical, I'm being honest, because we have to talk about this narrative. Why? Because we live in a state of, we don't want to talk about anything sensitive because he's being disrespectful. This is not, my life legacy isn't built off of this. My first humanitarian relief effort was in 2005. 3 of my brothers went down. I'm stopping here because I want to put this a part of the narrative. We went down to Hurricane Katrina. No one sponsored us. We wasn't a part of no mission, no missionaries or anything like that. We went down there ourselves. We went down there on August the 28th, which is my birthday. Hurricane Katrina happened in between the 23rd and the 25th. So we didn't go down there when things was cleaned up. There was one subway open. And of course, we're down in the South, so they eat ham and cheese. So the only thing they had is tuna fish. So we was like, that's fine for us anyway, because the only thing we could eat, right? So one subway was open. We slept on a gym floor with a bunch of other people that was there helping from different areas there. And one of the first houses we went to, I'll never forget, I told this twice, this is my 3rd time telling it. It was an affluent neighborhood we went to. And we was just walking around randomly, and my brother Ahmed, I said, let's go to that house right there. It was this middle-aged European white lady standing out there, and this is the first thing she said as we're walking, we're climbing over her stuff. She said, it looked like y'all walked out of the Bible. This is the first thing that she said to us. And when she said that, at that moment right there, if you understood the electricity that went through me that day, If Sacramento had a blackout, the lights would still stay on because the electricity that flowed through my body is sufficient to keep this city lit up. And at that moment right there, I said, this is what I want to do. Then, it's a long story with this particular Christian lady, and the only thing that was salvaged in the house was the Bible. And we had a whole dialogue about that, which was something. So I'm mentioning all of this to tell you that I am not just saying this because I am biased because of the genocide which happened with my ancestors and the founders of this country, that they put them through. I'm not saying it just because of that. What I am saying is, where are the people when they had this event in Baltimore last year? I have a very excellent relationship with the Baltimore Police Department. I was just in Baltimore speaking at some of these challenging schools. They had an event, ICNA had an event at Baltimore. The event was called, it was the theme of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So I said, who did we invite? The mother of Freddie Gray to this event. Did we invite this lady who had her son had his neck severed by the police department? Did we invite this lady? Baltimore is not New York City. Baltimore is not Philadelphia. It's not Los Angeles. It's not a huge city. Most of the people that went to that convention, they rode past that block in which Freddie Gray had his spine severed. But you sit in a air-conditioned room and you deliver speeches to people, and nobody is actually talking about what's taking place in our area, because what it is, it's about touching. It's about touching people in the area. If you are in medicine, and I'm speaking traditionally speaking, you have to touch somebody to read their pulse. So for us, we're not touching them. So you look at these conventions, where are the people from South Central LA? People say, man, there's Muslims in South Central LA. Yes, there's a masjid there called Masjid Rashid, right in Compton, California. The masjid in the third ward of Houston is called Masjid Tawheed. In Chicago, Baltimore. But where are they at? And why aren't they coming? They don't feel comfortable with coming. People support what they help build. People support what they help build. And we aren't allowing our African American brothers, our Latino brothers, and our minority brothers and sisters, and particularly the Latinos and my people, we're not letting them be a part of the narrative. And you can just see it by the ISNA lineup. Go ahead and look at the speakers. And I'm not talking about our beloved uncles. It's like a token. Imam Siraj Wahaj is up there, and Imam Zayd Chuck. We're not talking about that. Where are the Somalians? You know how many Somalian scholars under the age of 40 are in this country? You don't see them. So we have to be responsible with our authority, and we're irresponsible for our authority. And that is one of the reasons why Sayyidina Musa alayhi salatu wasalam was sent to Fir'aun. He just wasn't sent to Bani Israel, the guy Bani Israel. He was sent to reprimand irresponsible authority. That's why Allah Azza wa Jalla says on the 314th page of the Quran, Surah 20, this is Surah Taha, He says, go to Fir'aun because he has transgressed. So we don't have these real conversations that make us feel uncomfortable. And we're not able to accept people who disagree with us. And we're not able to accept people who touch a sensitive button. And to some of our cha-cha-sabs and our babas and our mothers and our aunties, and I'm not going to lead this into, well, I hope he doesn't say that, that one of my daughters has to marry an African American. That's a whole totally different conversation. I'm talking about just human rights, period, and injustice and structural injustice and different things like that. That's what I'm speaking about, that we are virtually silent about. With our brothers, these men who were brutally murdered. Some people said, well, we're not going to say anything because how do we know that they wasn't involved in gang activity? I was in North Carolina when the three winners, Diha, Yusuf, and Razan, when that situation happened, no one said, we're not going to say anything because they might have been terrorists. No one said this. So why is it said now? It's because of your narcissism and your racism. That's why it's said. It's not because of, some theory that, Shakespeare wrote, and it's not because it's simple. We have to be honest with ourselves. And then the brother said, well, the results haven't come back from the lab. I said, Aki, are you a Muslim or are you a forensic scientist? You sound like the results from the lab. Are you going to be the ones to receive the blood results from the lab? Are you going to be the ones to receive this confidential autopsy report? Are you going to be? What are you saying all of these things for? And you can see just this racism masqueraded as a forensic pathology. So until we're able to bridge these gaps, and you want to know how you bridge the gaps, you go to muslimarc.org. muslimarc.org. So people say, oh yeah, Hanif, you're saying all of this stuff, okay? Everything step by step is on muslimarc.org. muslimarc.org. And you can see what we can do to bridge this together. And to be more inclusive to our brothers and sisters and not exclusive. I'm here to tell you now, there's people who don't have. I come from a very, very fortunate background. My father was a scholar. He was a healthcare professional. My mother worked. I come from a family of 19 brothers and sisters. We was a flourishing family. We were never on welfare. Alhamdulillah. But there's a lot of my friends that I know that don't have mothers and fathers who are doctors and engineers. Here in America that we're living. That can never pay the Baina Dream summer tuition. They're never going to be able to afford that. They might not even see that in a year. So what are we making to make these things easier for them? Access. And not the Imam Siraj Wahaj, scholarship, because when I asked the question, I said, okay, well, who are the names of the people that was granted the scholarship? Because you don't know these people because you don't go to these areas. What are the names of the people? How? Because you don't know. Because if you live in Texas and you don't know what that masjid calls in the third ward of Houston, that is very, very telling. If you say, honey, if you live in Richmond, Virginia, what masjid should I attend? Then I'm going to ask you certain questions. I said, if you're from Palestine or if you're from a certain part of the world, if you want to go to the Arab masjid, I can tell you to go to Masjid Falah. If you are from Gambia or Guinea or Ghana, I'm going to tell you to go here. If you don't care about any of that, you can come to my masjid, because it's a mixture of people. This is someone who actually really lives here and sees the community. So unity is the first thing, and the major issue that we don't want to talk about is what I'm saying to you right now. That some of you have your lips are locked, and your fists are balled up. This is just the way it is. And I've experienced more racism. I want you to listen to this statistic. I'm originally from New Jersey, but I spent a significant life of my secular studies, and my children are raised in the South. So listen to what I'm getting ready to say. I've experienced more. I'm 35 years old, alhamdulillah. I've experienced more racism in 18 months from the Muslim community than I have in 12 years of living in Virginia from non-Muslims, where there's Ku Klux Klans and Mason rallies around me. One believes in Kitab Allah and one believes in Kitab al-Nafs. You say, how is this even possible? How can we even make sense to it? If I'm too much for you, you need to empty out your cup. That's a statement of my father. If I'm too much for you, you need to empty your cup out. How dare he talk about this? It's got to be spoken about. We cannot be selective with this. And I don't know an MSA in this country that has had a Black Lives Matter fundraiser dinner. And if this MSA has, then correct me in front of everybody right now. And that's problematic. And I remind you again, as I have 3 minutes, I think, left. When I left Ohio State 2 years ago, Iyad Hamza, a beautiful brother from Syria, I was leaving and someone grabbed my cufflink and he almost spun me around. He said, you know, Brother Hanif, you've been here for 2 days. He said, I'm going to ask you something. Now, I was asked questions that whole weekend, so I'm exhausted at this point. He said, I don't know, I'm very nervous in even speaking to you, and I just want to ask you something. I said, yeah. I said, Tafadhal, go ahead, ask. He said, can you wear this right here? It was this. Can you wear this? And I said, what is it? And right then and there, in 5 minutes, he gave me the history of the whole Syrian, what's going on with them, and his movement. I said, I promised him that I'll wear it for a year. I said, but I'll only wear it where things where I'm at weddings, if I'm giving a lecture or whatever. That was 2.5 years ago. I just can't stop wearing it. Because the more we developed, the more and more I found out about Syria, the more and more I seen those children on the ground. The more, I'm a father. The more and more I seen this, the more it moved me. But it was him, this is an Arab coming to an African American, him asking me to do this. Because sometimes when you're on a public platform, this is not the time for me to water things down. This is the time for me to elevate. So when he asked this, I said, I'll do it. Yeah, I'm going to do it. Then we took it a step further. He sent me a box of these, and we did a hashtag Free Syria. My first Instagram post, my very first, the number after 0 and before 2, my very first Instagram post, he gave me a Syrian shirt, and my mother makes these kufiyas, and she made she made a kufiya with the flag of Syria on. And I'm standing outside, I'm standing like this. And they said, this is unbelievable. We've never seen this before. Because we're so used to, these are my brothers and sisters, Arab or not. Daisy or not. Learn about what's happening in Central Africa Republic and ask, you learn about it, don't go to Google. Just like a non-Muslim, you don't want them to go to Google and look up al-Islam. Speak to somebody from Gambia. Speak to somebody from these areas. Speak to them. I learned about Palestine because I did 2 shows on Palestine when we had our podcast. The first, it's my most popular show, 100,000 listeners called in. Do you know what was happening at that time? Trayvon Martin had just got killed at that time. And I never did one show about Trayvon in the midst of this. I never mentioned one thing about Trayvon Martin. But I turned around and did another Palestine show. And that pulled me into the Palestinian community. And this is why every time I go, who is my host? Ahmed, where is he from? Palestine. Me and him were sitting down and said, this always happens like this. I'm attracted to y'all because your story it kills my humanity. But I'm proud when I see, policy aside, I'm proud when I see Barack Obama, my black president, me, a black man, speaking at a black university today. That doesn't disable my love for Syria and Palestine. And as I have 1 minute left, I say again that you're speaking to someone, I'm not attached to any institution. So that allows me to give you truths that other people have to fear. I don't have to worry about my job, my director, Dr. Kimberly, texting me and say, oh, we seen something on YouTube of you and you can't come here because you said something crazy. I'm not, and even if she did, I don't, wallahi, my risk come from Allah Azza wa Jalla. I'm spiritually and I'm financially free. And because of that, I can speak on these things and represent the people in their truest form. And not to, oh, he kind of represented us, but no. I'm going to say it, I'm going to mean it, and it's no offense. And this has been put, my resume is absolutely flawless. Look me up. I went to Harvard, spoke at Yale, spoke at all of these. I talk the same way. I don't say, oh man, I'm at Princeton right now. Let me lower down. No, I'm going to raise it up more because I'm a bigger platform. And we don't have this honesty forth. You have to hold your leaders accountable. In closing, I run a mentorship program, and I told Ahmed in the MSA that I would mention something, and I would use this opportunity to mention it now. I'm opening up my mentorship program to the MSA here. It's completely free. I have 574 cases. I've never had a suicide. I never had, everyone who we pre-counsel for marriage, they never had a divorce. Everyone who runs away from home, because we have runaways. We have runaways, and if some of your children are thinking about running away, but just they don't have nowhere to go. Everyone who we coached back never left home again. Everyone that was addicted to pornography, everybody, which is a big thing that I deal with a lot, addicted to alcohol, addicted to marijuana, they never relapse. This is by the permission of Allah Azza wa Jal. When we're talking about results, I can produce results. Popularity doesn't equal results. Popularity doesn't equal results. So we open up the mentorship program. Ahmed, you have my permission to put my number, WhatsApp preferably, inside of the MSA chat room, I believe, and also the MIV chat. I know about the MIV chat. That's pretty cool. So we have our sheikh here. I wanted to mention that to you all. Anything that I have said that offends you, know that it's not in my intent. Whatever that is truthful, it's only coming from the book of Allah Azza wa Jal and the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the way it was understood by the Sahaba. Ma'as salam.